Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to another exciting episode of Aperture, third season. With us today are another two very special guests like we had last time. Today too we have very special guests. Right in front of me is Rabi Silsila Umair Khan Sahib, who is my colleague and who has been serving in Calgary as a missionary over there. Next to him is Ishaq Fonseca Sahib, who is a convert and also a colleague, a missionary, and you are currently serving in Montreal.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, to my left is the old guard, the Sadr Sahib Ansarullah Shahid Mansoor Sahib.
Yes.
Jazakallah to all of you for joining us today.
For giving the praise of old guard. I was thinking of coloring my beard and everything today, but then I forgot. Sadr Ansarullah, I am not supposed to. Okay, go ahead, please.
Just don't try.
Yes, I'm not going to try.
So, of course, our viewers are watching Aperture because Raptors are doing so well.
I think we're going to repeat the history today.
Okay.
The same thing which we have done. Actually, we have done a very good experiment last time where Pakistan and South Africa World Cup cricket match, not for Bangladesh match today, but Pakistan-South Africa match. And same thing was happening to Pakistan. They were down. Everything was going down and Pakistan won. So this show did something last time. Hopefully we'll do it again today. We are losing right now, but we'll win inshallah by the end of
Thank
today.
you for that
Yes.
comment. Ishaq Sahib, we want to start with you. You are a convert, like I introduced you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? You were raised in Canada, I believe?
Yeah, I was born in Winnipeg and was raised there my whole life until I converted. And I went to school there. I passed most of my life there, and I think that when I was in grade 12, I started to get interested in religion because my background and my family is that they were not the traditional family where you find that you're brought up in one religion or no religion at all. There was a mix. And my father, he was an active Christian with the Christian movement, and he was actually a missionary for some time when I was really young. So before I grew up, my family actually moved outside of Winnipeg, and we for a year or so, and then we settled back in Winnipeg. And then my mother became a Buddhist.
Wow. Okay.
And she actually had asked the other members of the family, like my siblings, that would like to go to pray with me. So I was the one who went with her, and I accepted that, and I started on sort of my own journey at that time. But I wasn't really like, it didn't really feel spiritual or anything. It was just was following my mother at that time.
How old were you at that time?
At that time, I was maybe around 7 years old.
7 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then by grade 12, what happened afterwards, the journey?
Yeah, grade 12 was there was actually in grade 11, my sister had taken me once to a church in Winnipeg, and she said that I come here to get peace of mind, and there was this church, and it there was a part in it in the Catholic Church. I guess the tradition was that they would bury the old missionaries or the old priests inside, and she had a spiritual experience, and she said that you can go in there and you can do meditation or something, and you'll get some peace of mind. So I did that, and I remember raising my hands, and I actually saw there was this vision that I saw of Jesus on a cross, and the cross was cut in it, and I, as my sister said, I became overwhelmed with peace and calm. And then after that point was, for me, was a defining moment of my life where I decided to pursue God and to try to find out God at that point. Yeah.
And then how your journey
and then
went further towards India?
Yeah, it's sort of, I think at one point it progressed where I just decided that I would like to study. I was thinking about Christianity, to look into it, and there was my thinking was that religion and God and serving humanity all had something to do together, and I wanted to get involved with religion, and so I started on this pursuit. And at that time, my brother was studying Islam, my older brother, Ivan, and he actually introduced, we were sitting at home one day and he said that, can I tell you something? And then he told me about the concept of God in Islam. And it was so simple. And it had an effect on me that I started to pursue Islam, and that when one point he gave me a book about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and I remember looking at it and getting this sense of spirituality coming from it, that it was drawing me towards it, and. So at that time, when I was looking at Christianity and possibly any other faiths, I felt attracted, and I felt that this is right. This is drawing me to Islam and to this faith. And at one time, my brother asked me that, would you like to offer prayer together with me? And he didn't know prayer, and I didn't know anything about prayer. And he had a prayer book, and all we knew that we should do our wuzu, our ablutions. And we did that, and we offered prayer, and that was such a defining moment in my life, because I remember feeling so much at ease and calm from that point onward. It was instant. It was that nothing could get me in that mode of thinking. It was as if my depression or any thoughts of negativity were wiped away. And it was a very big sign for me that I was moving in the right direction.
So Allah bizikrillah tatmainul qulub. So
Yes.
how it started, right?
Yeah.
It gives a peace of mind,
Yes.
heart, and
Yes.
And I mean, not to be too personal, but do you still feel that? I mean, if somebody has that question, do you still feel that calm and?
Yes. We all have our ups and downs,
Right.
and faith is not a thing where it can never stay at one point. It's either going to go back or it's going to go forward. So whenever I put my efforts in it to try to build my faith, and whenever and that's the thing that I learned after becoming Muslim, is that I can put my faith in God, and He could help me in circumstances. So yes, I do feel it, and you have to work for it, though. It's something that's it's a blessing, but you have to work for it, and you can achieve it, and it is there. But I feel, and I think that others would attest to that as well, that when we're in the company of Khalifatul Masih,
Yes.
that's also. I had my first experience with Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahmallah, the first time praying behind him when he came to Canada, and it's like I could not explain the emotions of pleasure and happiness, all just boiling up and coming out, and it was so emotional.
Very interesting. So when did you became MD?
In 1993.
93. How old were you at that time?
I was 20 years old.
So how you moved towards MDiyat? Like why you accepted MDiyat? Why not Sunni?
Before you answer that, I just want to remind our viewers that they can tweet us. You can send us any questions you might have for our guests today, Ishaq Fonseca Sahib or Amer Khan Sahib. It's at @aperture_show. We would like to hear from you. Any comments that you might want to add to what Ishaq Fonseca Sahib has said so far, and maybe we can include that in the show. So please,
So how you how you moved towards MDiyat?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. That the thing which happened is that my brother, who introduced me to Islam, and when I decided that I want to become Muslim, then he said that you should first get some basics about Islam, and when we did that, what he did was he said, essentially we'll find a book. So we found a book in an interfaith bookstore, a spiritual faith bookstore, and it was actually written by an author from the Jamaat. And it explained about the basics of Islam, the Quran, prayer, and then it talked about the life of Muhammad and also the Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the promised Messiah, and then the Jamaat and subsequent things that the Jamaat does. So there was really an introduction that came at that point. And when I told my brother about this, he had actually studied too some other books, Murder in the Name of Allah, Philosophy or Teaching of Islam. So he had a good impression from his studies when he was studying on Islam. So I asked him about it, and I said that I would like to become an Ahmadi Muslim. And he said that, yeah, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do that. So, but the thing really, when I read it, the thing which was that really sort of motivated me was that that I was thinking that there had to something to do with this person of Jesus in this time.
Right.
And that's why I was thinking about Christianity. Right. Then I moved to Islam, but there was something in the back of my mind about that. And when I had learned about that in the Ahmadiyya Jamaat, that the promised Messiah came back,
Yes.
the fulfillments and the signs, then this really made me firm on this decision.
Solved the mystery, right?
Yes,
Yes.
The pieces were coming together.
Right.
And the other aspect was about the missionary work or humanitarian work that the community has been doing, which I read about in this book as well. So that this is something that, as a child and growing up, I also was realizing, considering my life, and this is a good thing for life, and this also is a big part of religion.
Right. Without humanitarian efforts or without humanity, you can't complete the religion.
And I found that this community is the community, Islamic community, that's practicing.
Right.
Practicing.
Right. Ishaq Sahab, we'll come back to you for some more questions, but I want to ask Omer, so you joined Jamia in which year, and what was the background?
So I joined Jamia in the year 2004.
Okay.
And the background is that me and my family, we had moved around quite a bit. After I was born in Pakistan, lived in Africa, West Africa for some time, Liberia. My father was he was under the Nusra Jahan scheme.
So he was working.
Yeah, so we were there for 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Yeah. And then we came to Toronto in 1990. And you know how it is when a lot of our parents, they have their degrees from Pakistan, they have to come here and work hard and get their qualifications. So he was busy in that, and he eventually passed his exams. We moved to New York, and it was in New York. The Jamaats in the United States are very far apart, so it's not like Peace Village where you see Ahmadis and you get an opportunity to learn your beliefs. So because he was very busy and just didn't get that opportunity that I think is important for any young person to have. So I didn't exactly know what our beliefs are. You just kind of go to the mosque because your parents tell you to, and you just go hang out with your friends. So there's one incident that happened where it hurt a lot, and I started questioning Ahmadiyyat. And that was when, in Calgary, when we moved there, I had lots of Sunni friends. All my friends a majority of them were Sunni.
Right.
So we were all hanging out in a very similar sitting. And someone, one of my friends, he's like, so you're Ahmadi, we're Sunni, what's the difference, right? So whatever I knew, I tried to explain it, and I told them that, one difference that we have is we believe that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, he survived the crucifixion, he traveled eastwards, and we believe he died in Kashmir in India. So when I said that, that young man almost fell on the ground laughing. And he was just like, what kind of weird belief is that? Billions of people in the world believe in something, and here you guys are with your own, And I sat there and I felt pretty bad because I didn't know what to say to him. And it's very painful to look at someone who's literally laughing in your face about your beliefs, and you don't know what to say. So that kind of, I didn't say anything to him when they left. I really, really felt it. And I was like, I just got laughed at for my beliefs, and I couldn't even say anything. I couldn't even defend it, right? Yeah. And I kind of promised myself at that time that I can't let this go. I have to do something about it, right? So that was the initial spark that got me going, and I got more concerned that a lot of the Jamaat kids, they're in a very similar situation. The ones I've met sometimes, they really don't know what they believe in. We're just going to the mosque without really questioning what our beliefs are. So that's the initial start that I got, and the other reason was because after high school, in high school I had actually thought about going to Jamia. I didn't know much about Jamia. I was like, it's good. I should have a few surahs memorized. I'm going to get married one day. I have to lead namaz with your family. I was like, yeah, I'll go for 2-3 years. I had my own little philosophy going.
Yes.
But then I found out it's a 7-year course and you graduate and then you have to go anywhere in the world. Someone said Africa. I was like, no, it's okay. I'm not ready for Jamia. So I changed my mind. So after high school, I went to a post-secondary technical school over there, college. And in that semester, I had met some MD friends. And there were such good examples, such amazing examples. And I was sharing with you that incident where I was, and everyone knows like that setting in schools, male students, female students, everyone's mixed up, chatting, talking. And I remember there's this one time where a bunch of female students were sitting, and they're standing and talking. And I was nearby, and some of my MD friends were nearby, and they're from different religious backgrounds, Sunni, Shia, Sikh, Hindu. And they pointed out like some of my MD friends, and they said, these MD guys are such good guys.
Lots of respect.
Yeah, and they said that we wish our boys in our community were like that.
Wow.
And the way they praised the guys in the Jamaat, and I had to praise them too because they had all those opportunities to date and do all the things, like the kids get into these days, right? And they didn't though. And they told me frankly that yes, women would approach, the girls from school would approach them and they would tell them straight that we don't get into these kind of relationships.
Oh, very interesting.
So I really saluted that because I was different and I respected how much, control and, and discipline they had.
So you want to be like them, you want to emulate them, right?
Right when I saw that, I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we need, right? And I was very inspired by some of these young men.
So this is the second thing which
this
triggered
is the
you.
second thing that really, really triggered me. And the last thing that really triggered me was that
to go to Jamia, right?
Yeah, to go to Jamia was I was very fascinated by that discipline. How, to wake up in the middle of the nights, to have that control over yourself and not let yourself control you, right? So all these things adding together, that's kind of what changed, got me going towards Jamia.
Interesting. And about your grandfather, you were mentioning about that also. Quickly, if you can mention.
Oh yeah, so that again, it comes under that discipline. When I was a child, we used to live in New York, and it was summertime. I used to watch some scary movies and stuff, and then trying to go to sleep, and I can't sleep. So I would wake up, like I'm terrified because I think there's ghosts and monsters in front of me, and then I would hear my grandfather. It'd be like 3-4 in the morning, and he would get up, and when he would pray his tahajjud, I could hear him reciting the Quran and Surah Fatiha, and I'd feel more comfortable and I'd go back to sleep. Second, third day, same thing happened. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, that's crazy how someone gets up in the middle of the night, not for show off, no nothing, just for Allah Ta'ala, right? I found that so fascinating. I was like, that's another person I want to be like.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. So we'll take it further.
Yeah, coming back to Sahak Sahib, so you are a missionary now. Can you tell us how, because when you became a missionary, there was no Jamia. So how did it work? Yes. And what inspired you?
For me, the going back in my childhood, there was actually, strangely, that it was just a dream that I had when I was a young boy, and that was sort of, that linked me finally when I was talking about my conversion, that I saw that I was in Africa feeding the African people or giving them something, and that actually kept with me my whole life. And that was one of the things which when I was thinking of becoming a missionary, it wasn't about going and preaching to the world. It was more like just something good for society and for humanity. Like the religion of Islam is good morals and it could help the whole world, right? So that was for me what I was feeling like my whole life, that I wanted to do something that was not just the typical thing that everyone is doing, because I don't see that. It seems there's an emptiness inside. When everyone gets something, there's an emptiness there. They achieve what they can achieve, but there's a lot of problems. And there is, society is, I don't get that real happiness. So the only happiness I used to feel, when I was growing up was about maybe serving humanity. So that was when I was searching, and I was mentioning before that it was religion and the service to humanity, humanitarian aspect to it, that why I wanted to get involved in religion. So when I found out about the Ahmadiyya community had missionaries, and they were going around, and they also had their hospitals, and people were dedicating and helping. So I wanted to be involved and do that. So after I converted, I was actually wanted to do right away, but I was nervous, and it took me about a few months, maybe 3 months or so, until I get the courage to actually ask some members what's it all about and where I can go to school and study, because I had just finished, I had just done up to my grade 12, and I was after that, I was searching, my life, what to do, my next direction, and I was thinking this would be a good thing for me, to join Jamia. So when I decided after converting, then I wrote a letter to Khalifa Rabi Rahimahullah to give my services, and he accepted my waqf and accepted my life. And then I actually, after that, was sent to Toronto. So under Maulana Naseem Mahdi Sahab, he was in charge of all of my studies and everything. So he assigned, he would be teaching me as well. And then there was other professors or others who would help me.
Yes.
And there was a lot of classes that were, I was living in Ahmadiyya Abode of Peace, and I was going to the mission house in Vaughan. So I would take some classes in Ahmadiyya Abode of Peace as well as in Mission House. So sort of, these two places were for me like my Jamia.
So you did the Jamia like drive-through.
And then after about 2 years or so, I was sent to Rabwa. Maulana Naseem Mahdi Sahab sent me to Rabwa to learn. You use the term drive-through, so that was the term back then was the crash course. So,
right.
And at that time I had a chance to go to Qadian, my first and so far last chance so far to go to Qadian, and it was a very moving experience, and very highlight of my time going to Rabwa and seeing that Muslim society in work, and even a Muslim country. I could just, it was strange, like as I got off the airplane and I was in Pakistan, there was this completely different atmosphere.
Yes,
it seemed the spiritual, we know those who are from Pakistan, that there's a different, but the spiritual atmosphere is so, and in Qadian is even higher. And there's also the other interesting thing is that I noticed that, and when I come back I would compare it, is that when you look at the reflection from the moon, it seems there is a light, like spiritual nur, spiritual light that's coming from the moon, which when I come back here, the intensity, you can't get it.
Right.
Yeah. That's I can relate with that, because I've been there too.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
It's very different. Even in the poems and nazms when you see in the MTN. Yes.
Yeah. And just taking cue from what you mentioned about Africa, I would like to ask Umair, after Jamia there was this period where you were in Africa. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so that was a very memorable time. So after, those that don't know, after we finish our Jamia studies and we qualify, before you're sent in the field, Hazur was sending us for some months of training. And one of the places he was sending the students was Africa. So I had a chance to go to Sierra Leone, and beautiful, beautiful country, Sierra Leone. And
Maulana Mubarak Nazir Sahib also spent most of his time in the last episode was mentioning about Sierra Leone, so another one now, the latest one.
And it was interesting how they speak. They speak English, but it's called Creole, it's broken English. So when I got there, so if you know how over here we say, hey, how are you, or what's up? So over there they literally say like, howdy body.
Howdy body.
Meaning, how is your body?
Yes.
And then in reply you say like, the body, the tank, the God. Like the body, that's their way of saying Alhamdulillah, right?
Yes.
So very, very nice people. I was posted in a town called Port Loco. There was a missionary there, originally from Pakistan, but he took his son to, I believe it was Ghana for treatment. And so I kind of, I was helping out, filling that spot. And so yeah, I was lucky to have, and I have to give a shout out to this young man. His name's Saliu. He's a young missionary that they do or I think it's a 3-year course over there. So he was living with me, and I loved this guy. He was such an amazing young man. And so he would help me translate and communicate with, he spoke English. I would do the khutbahs and he would translate. And I remember, so food is difficult to get over there. And I had taken a big pack of noodles. And so this is the first.
Your one bag was full of noodles, right? When you
yeah, every month, whenever we'd go for the missionaries meeting, I would get 40, like the pack of, like that's what I lived on, right? So I would make it, and we all know like noodles take what, 2-3 minutes to make, right? And over there, they were literally hustling for like 2-3 hours to make one meal. So I made it, and then I shared it with him. And right when he ate some, like he just froze. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? He's like, what is this? And then I'm like, it's called noodles. And he's like, you know, he's trying to pronounce it. How do you say noodles?
Right.
And then he's like, I'm like, you like it? He's like, it's amazing. I've never tasted
Heavenly
anything
meal,
like that.
right? Yes.
The funniest thing is that he asked me, because in Sierra Leone, you throw a seed anywhere, it's so fertile that
Really?
everything will grow, right?
Wow.
So he's like, can we grow this?
Can we grow this?
Yeah,
Right?
Is there a seed? Can we
Right.
grow it? And I started laughing, and I was like, no, this is made in factories. Like, you can't grow it, right?
Right.
But it was just amazing how, and you know, I would talk, because the place I lived in, we didn't have electricity or running water. And when it would rain, we would literally pick up like all like plastic bottles and like fill up the water, because that's what we used
That's the water which you have,
wash and, you know, clean our dishes and stuff. And just like, it just makes you realize, and we had to charge our phones. There's huts that have generators, so you give it to them and they take money to charge your phone, and then you take that phone
Basic
back.
necessities of life.
Yeah,
right?
and we'd have dinner with like a flashlight on and stuff. But I don't know what it is about that atmosphere. I got so attached to those people, so attached. And they're just, I noticed they're very happy, they're thankful, they enjoy their life. I didn't see anyone have depression or anxiety and stuff. They're just,
Even things like malnutrition and this, we don't see that kind of stuff, because I was myself in a place where there's no electricity and there's no, you know, rainwater, and you know, and people are happy and they're enjoying themselves, and they don't have that, you know, that something's missing. I mean, it's fine for them. And it's amazing to see how different we have become because of all the technology.
Because of all of the technology and everything which we have over here, right? I think we are waiting for, there are questions coming bombarded, and people are getting very personal over here and excited that you have to answer my questions. That's why. So Rabbi Sahib Ishaq Fonseca said, what advice do you want to give to the people who are in search of truth? By Ataul Hai Nasir Sahib.
Who are in search, so I suppose that's someone who is who's searching to convert.
He's MD, but he's saying like, what advice do you want to give to the people in general who are in search of truth or who are looking for something?
Well, I think from my experience and from what I get from Hazrat Muntasi Rabi Rahmullah, that the message which he gave, and he would tell us that you know, and that's the message of the Quran, that it's a universal message, and if a person, even they're of another faith, and that faith they're following, they're trying their best. They may not know what are the exact tools, but they try their best, and they are true to themselves, that what they are doing, and they're searching whatever comes to them. And there's also another advice that he also gave too, that if God reveals Himself or something comes to you, that you realize you have to be humble enough to accept it, and you have to, whatever comes to you, you have to be
humble enough, right?
Humble enough, and you have to, whenever the truth comes up before you, you have to follow it. So that is, I think, in essence, that's what Islam is all about, is for us to be honest as to who we are, and how we are going to be honest, because we have a responsibility first for ourselves, our own nafs, and then for our immediate family and others, right? So how could we do that if we have blinders on? So we should take those off. We should, because for me, I always felt that even the prayer is accepted, which is not in all that formal prayer, is just direct from the heart, where I'm in search of something, and I found that Allah will give you, but you have to be sincere. You have to be open for it.
Right.
The time when you ignore, the hurdles come up, and I found that's true, and I've seen with others too.
Right.
When they ignore, even dreams come to them and tell them, knock on their door at night.
But they're not humble. They don't want to accept it, right?
Yeah.
So in the same context, sorry.
Yeah, please.
In French area where you are right now, you are seeing some scenes over there, some conversions. Some people are coming from nowhere, just like you. You know, nobody came to you for Ahmadiyya, the message. Some of the youngsters, very young age youngsters, it's the same thing, same phenomena which is happening over there. Can you please quickly narrate some of the incidents which you are witnessing nowadays in the same context which this question is asked?
Well, there are people who are coming to Ahmadiyyat who are coming like various means nowadays is the internet, and I know of one incident where who converted is a Quebecois who converted, and he is searching and religion his whole life and looking at different faiths, this and that, and he came across Ahmadiyyat by searching on the internet, and then he found out that through logic and through looking at and comparing all the other faiths and experiencing that this is correct, and from a town which is not even I visited there a few times, and there's no there's just a few people that live there, And there's another, I haven't had the chance to go to that young man's town, but I met him.
How old is he? That
One other gentleman, he's, I believe, he's around 18 or 20, but I'm not sure exactly.
He's very
20,
young age, right?
And he lives about 400 kilometers from Montreal, and how he learned about it, Ahmadiyyat, and came to learn. It's amazing that, and then how the spirit is there, and
he
how
came to
people
know
are.
Through the internet also the same.
I'm not sure exactly how he did, but he did come across, and there was a message that came through the Jamaat. He got through center, and then it came to us. And then I was in Quebec City at that time when he
came and approached you, right?
Yeah.
That's very interesting, and we are getting a lot of tweets. Also, we have one from Human Being. I guess he doesn't want to share his, but he's your fan.
Okay.
He says, I met Ishaq Sahib first time when he was appointed at Hamilton Jamaat.
Okay.
And he's also giving reference to some of the classes that he took and all that. So
I know who is this human being, by the way. He's from Brampton. So he's watching with his sons. Always he watches with his
I
family.
think that's also true to the other question that was asked about being true or truth, following truth. Just be a human being. Accept everyone.
Right.
Everyone is human. We're all, regardless of our faith.
Interesting.
Right.
So Marissa, your experience in Calgary with the youth especially, because you're young, still looks young, much younger than me. So how was your experience with the youth in the Jamaat? What you have done with them?
Yeah. So youth it's an experience itself. It is an age group that is it's not the easiest. There's a hadith of Holy Prophet ﷺ in which I really like it. He talks about 7 people on the Day of Judgment. Allah Ta'ala will be really happy with them. And one is Shabun Nasha'i fi ibadatillahi ta'ala, that a youth who spends his time in the worship of Allah, right? And I've really thought about that, like why he highlights the youth at that time, that if they spend their time in the worship of Allah. And when you look across the globe, it's just that age when you're young. There's so many distractions, and if someone could control that and spend his time in the worship of Allah Ta'ala, so Allah Ta'ala is saying, in this Holy Prophet ﷺ is pointing it out, that that's the time that Allah Ta'ala, that's He'll be so happy with you if you could control those distractions and do what's right? So it's definitely a challenge. The young people in Calgary are amazing. They're very, very helpful, very friendly. They made me feel extremely welcome when I was posted in Calgary, and they're very passionate. There's always a few individuals who are so passionate and they kind of take the lead, and then the rest of the group comes. And after the Fajr prayers with the Fajr spirit, there's a few really good cooks. They're always cooking, and it was such good food.
Right.
They would cook omelets with cheese and pancakes and all that. And they had this really brotherly connection amongst each other. And I got a chance to know a lot of them over the last year and a half I was there. I used to go to the University of Calgary for Jummah. I lead the Jummah prayers there. Got to know them over there too. And so yeah, I understand it's an age where they're very busy with work and school. And at the same time, we're always putting pressure on them too to, you have to balance it out, come to the mosque and stuff. So it's a challenge, and I had an awesome experience there. And
but what you have found from them, what is the thing which you want to share, the respect which they deserve? Like, what is your feeling, what you found among the youth?
With the youth,
because sometimes we become very agitated, the elders like me,
yeah,
or elders than me,
yeah,
that youth is going astray or something like that. But what you have found among them, and how you dealt with those situations?
With the young people I found in Calgary, and young people anywhere, is, they're very passionate and they respect righteousness, they respect truth. Some of the young people I would talk to, and sometimes I would ask them, why don't you come to the mosque? And sometimes they would say, a very typical answer was usually, like one young man I asked a few weeks ago in Calgary, I said, why don't you come to the mosque more? There's nothing, you're a good kid. And he said, I don't like coming to the mosque because sometimes he doesn't like coming to the mosque because he feels that some of the elders are a bit hypocritical. So, and I've seen people blame the elders sometimes, and I've tried to explain to them that, look, you don't come to the mosque to impress elders. You come there as a religious obligation to come for your prayers, to please Allah Ta'ala, do your duty to Him. And I tell them, I'm like, don't make me your role model, don't make other people your role model. Stick with what the Holy Quran says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that you have in the Prophet of Allah an excellent example. You're looking for a role model. If you get disappointed by seeing how an uncle or auntie carry themselves, and they bring, I'm saying this because they bring this over and over, like, oh, they're like this, we don't want to come to the mosque. Why would you let other people judge your faith,
right,
and make you go away? You have to be stronger than that, you know what I mean? Like, if someone says something harsh to me or him, do we say, oh, let's leave our waqf? You know what I mean? Like, it's so that's one thing I've been trying to
right. And
get
you
across.
are the part of their social activity, and how you dealt with you are the part of their leagues and games, and how, just quickly, very quick.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, everything, a lot of the events, because I'll be very honest, I'm saying this as a missionary. You can't do your Durood Sharif and your Zikr Ilahi day in, day out. You have to have fun and do other activities and balance your life out, right? And so whenever in Calgary they were running ABL, Amity Basketball League, so I would participate, I would play with them. We had the best team, and then we lost in the playoffs, unfortunately. So that was a lot of fun, got a chance to connect with them. And I feel that as a community, because of the age and culture gap between the elders, sometimes there's some very sensitive topics that need to be talked about that aren't being talked about. And because I also grew up here, so we organized some forums where we would talk about these things. We did one about illicit relationships, people dating. There's a topic that a lot of our elders
we try to shy away from that, right? Don't want to talk about
and then
that.
So that was really interesting because we talked about it from a religious perspective, from a counselor. We had a psychiatrist come in and say, talk about it.
Right.
Same thing with drugs and alcohol abuse, where fine, you know the religious aspects, but do you know, according to the law, like what trouble and problems you could get into, and
right,
from a medical point of view, how broken some of these families are that get involved. So when we did this, like, it hits. And there was a lot of good feedback.
And it's such a good thing to prove that this Islam cares about you. That's why Islam is asking you to be away from this. Look at all the repercussions, look at all the effects and impacts which can be on your life, by proving it through the medical point of view, psychiatrist point of view, and also through law and order point of view. So that is why Islam takes care of you, right?
Yeah. And
that's, in a nutshell, that's the message, right?
So yeah, so the Khuddam and the young youth in Calgary, they're very happy with these type of programs and dialogues, and I'm hoping those things keep continuing.
And that dialogue was not only for that program, but also you have during the game breaks and everything. Before starting the game, you have 10 minutes gupshup with them, and you cover all these things because you're the part of their life, right?
Yeah.
That's how you dealt with the youth, by the way, and that's very interesting. I think we need to go for the break.
Jazakallah to both of you for a great discussion, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback on Twitter. Jazakallah Saksa for the conversion story. I hope it didn't get too personal. And Jazakallah Umair for all your motivational stuff that you have mentioned, especially with the youth. We do have a break right now, and it's an interesting video. Please check it out and stay tuned. We're going to come back with another segment, very special segment.
Latin America, a region too often associated with crime, corruption and violence. But now, for the first time, a new message of hope has arrived in the city of Mérida, Mexico.
The whole town knows about it. And I tell you this not on my authority. In one of our meetings, right after the Charlie Hebdo affair in France, a French professor of art came to visit us on one of our Thursday meetings to find out who we were and what we really thought about this whole incident. And she told us that, you know, the whole town, in the center of the town, is talking about you. And I asked her, how do you know this? She said, my art school is situated in the heart of Mérida, and I'm here to hear about what you believe in and what you think about this incident.
Wasim Sayed is one of the first preachers of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Mérida. In just 5 months since its establishment, the local chapter's growth has been rapid. It all began with a sermon by the global spiritual head and Khalifa of the community, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad.
Hazur came to the US and on 10th of May 2013 gave a khutbah in which he highlighted the need for us to approach and convey the message of Ahmadiyya to the Latin American community. Since Hazur gave that khutbah, we have seen in our own lives things happen that we could never have imagined. We've been working for years and we never got anywhere. After this khutbah, Allah opened so many doors, both in the US and in Mexico.
¿Quieres saber acerca del Islam? La comunidad musulmana Ahmadiyya te invita todos los jueves a las 7 de la noche a nuestro centro ubicado.
3 doors down from our mission house is a radio station. So we went in there, we talked to them, and when we left the radio station, we asked these guys that, we'd like to use your radio station to communicate our message. And this started to air in about 2 or 3 days after we talked to them.
La comunidad musulmana Ahmadiyya te invita a aprender lo que el Islam y el Sagrado Corán enseñan acerca de Jesús y su Madre María, la paz sea con él.
Besides radio, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community have used exhibitions, social media, and a vast leafleting campaign to attract Mérida's population to weekly meetings known locally as Coffee, Cake, and Islam. The results have been astonishing.
First, a couple of students, then an agronomist, then a businessman. And so far, I think over the last 5 months, we have had something in the region of 40 people accept the message of Islam Ahmadiyyat.
Despite the success, Mérida's Ahmadi Muslims are already looking ahead to what the future might hold.
When we got there, the people asked us this in the media, that when are you going to build a mosque? So I think even the people of Mexico, Mérida, are hoping and praying that we will build a mosque. We are directed by Huzur Akhtas to work towards the building of a mosque in Mexico. And but this is very early days, and the hope is by the grace and mercy of Allah that we will be able to make some progress towards it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that wonderful, faith-inspiring video of our Jamaat activities in Mexico. Taking cue from the same video, we are going to have a discussion with another two special guests, Akbar Bhatti Sahib and his son Kamal Ahmed Bhatti Sahib. Both of you are welcome, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So you had a chance to go to South America. Which country and when did this happen?
We went to Belize last 10 days of February. It all sort of inspired when there were calls going on for the last couple of years for Jamaat members to go out for Waqf-e-Arzi. And I think it was last year about this time, before Shura, I think they usually have a special Tabligh meeting. I remember, if I recall it properly and correctly, it was the basement level of mosque when Amir Sahib appealed again that we must go. And I made up my mind, and there was another brother, very dear brother of mine, he was sitting. We both made up our mind that inshallah we'll go next year. That was last year. And something happened, he couldn't go, but then because I already had my mind up, I set up my vacation in a way that we would go. And then when he dropped out, then I asked Kamal, my son, actually I want to take my daughter too, but my wife said, you know what, just go to, you two go first, see how it is, and then hopefully next year we will make a family plan to go. So alhamdulillah, we went, and it was faith inspiring, and it was very uplifting sort of Waqf-e-Arzi for me, for us.
For both of you, right? Kamal, how was it for you?
It was good.
Good? MashaAllah. You enjoyed it day in, day out over there?
Yes.
You want to go again soon?
Yeah.
Yes? Inshallah, yes, that's good. So, Bhatti Sahib, what you found over there?
So, Sahib, there are a lot of things that I found there. One is that I, in terms of having, we hear Khulafa say that people are ready for Islam and Ahmadiyya. Yes, they are ready, for sure. I mean, and we believe what Khulafa always tell us.
Qaumein taiyar ki gayi hain.
Yes, qaumein taiyar ki gayi hain. But when you go and see, actually people are ready for Islam and Ahmadiyya, it was amazing. And I felt it so deeply that I promised Murabbi Sahib that wherever and whenever I got a chance, Murabbi Mangla Sahib, I think he's one of the, all of Murabbiyans, alhamdulillah, Mujahideen, but he's one of the exceptional ones. I promised him that I will try my best to motivate more people to go do this. The reason I am saying that how people are ready there, when Amir Sahib went in January, just before we went for Jalsa Salana Belize, first Jalsa Salana Belize, there was this brother Orlan. He became Ahmadi at that time. It's an amazing story to see. He lives in a village which is outside of Belize, about give or take about half an hour away. I mean, his actual house is about 45 minutes away from the Belize city. It's sort of in the middle of the jungle. So Murabbi Sahib took me to Sister Khadija. It's just, I'm going to interrelate everything. She is the first Ahmadi, alhamdulillah, very, very pious lady, very dedicated and very motivated. She has converted her neighbors, and wherever she goes, she just preaches Ahmadiyyat, Islam and Ahmadiyyat. And we went to see her because she already had a few people, they were interested, and then Murabbi Sahib and asked me and Kamal, we went along Murabbi Sahib to basically preach and see Sister Khadija. So when we were coming back, Murabbi Sahib said, we're so close to Brother Orla, let's go to meet him. And he was his shop. He has a barber shop there.
Barber shop.
And we drove from a small village to sort of abandoned, not abandoned, I wouldn't say, it was just a small road.
Remote.
Remote road, yeah, the proper way to say it. And it was amazing. We were driving along, there was just nothing but trees, sort of jungle. All of a sudden, in sort of a small intersection, if people who lived in Pakistan, if they can recall, if you're driving and all of a sudden there is this choke, where it's two roads meet, to crossroad basically. And there was this, I would say, again, a Koka type barber shop, So for me, the thing that was really amazing was that when I went inside his barber shop, the amazing thing was that it was a small TV, old TV, it was on, and what I saw was Hazur, and he was playing a video where Hazur was, there was some sort of introduction and some question answers, I think they were going on, but for me, the thing was amazing for me because I said, you know, look, here in the middle of nowhere, this Ahmadi brother who just became Ahmadi a month ago, he is so passionate about Islam and Ahmadiyyat that he's playing this video.
For Tabligh, for his own education and for Tabligh both.
Because at that time he has somebody and he was, you know, cutting their hair, and then he was at the same time he was playing the video. And I said, you know what, Alhamdulillah, you know, I couldn't say anything else but Alhamdulillah that.
So it's a message for our businessmen over here in Canada also. Yes. We are blessed. We are not living in Pakistan. Yes. Look at those people who just converted and they have so much passion to do the Tabligh and preaching, and look at us also living in this country. We have some businesses also where we can do the same thing.
Definitely.
But if we are shying away, then what's the point, right? So that's what you have experienced over there.
Yeah, it was, and then we went to see his family, and they were very. I mean, his house has no running water, no electricity. It's
extremely poor.
It's really in the middle of a jungle, basically, and we're very poor. But I mean, it's just their ikhlas and their. You know, their love that they showed us, dedication showed us, it was amazing.
Simplicity.
It just, and then they came on Friday to join us in the city. He said even it's busy, but every Friday he comes there. And these are the things that...
He comes over there, right?
Yes, to Mission House.
With those meager resources, not much money, and he still comes over there, right?
He takes a bus and it comes to Belize City, and then he has to be back before 8:30 because the last bus leaves 8:30.
There you go.
For him to get back to his house, you know. It's just, so these sort of things are amazing that when you think about it, that how Allah Ta'ala has there's nothing but Allah Ta'ala who's changing people's heart.
Right.
And I mean, and that is, you can say this is what Haqqul Yaqeen is. Now I know for sure. Like, I mean, you know, like Hazrat Ibrahim said too, right? So he would have that Haqqul Yaqeen. I mean, I know.
So look at the timing also. Mexico clip which we have shown that Hazur has said that South American and Spanish speaking and this area, South American area, is going to have something, and this is what we are seeing by the grace of Allah right now.
And so there on the direction of Rabbi Sahib, we went, Kamal and myself, we went and we had a stall there, bookstall there. Everybody who met us, you know, they were very interested. They just come up to you and then they were very interested in learning and understanding what it is, because Islam is sort of new for them. And whatever they've learned is through CNN or whatever media they get. Even though they don't have, I mean, I think they have the satellite TVs and stuff like that, but still they're very interested in Islam. And people have said, I've listened to their mouths, people say we're fed up with Christianity. We do not understand concept of three gods anymore, and they're looking for something. And that was my feeling, that their God is lost and they're looking for God. You know, and this is exactly what is happening over there. That it's those people are actually fed up from Christianity.
So the quotation of the promised Messiah Islam is also there, and we are seeing it fulfilled. That he said that this generation will die, and then the next generation, their children will also die, and they will keep on waiting for the coming of Jesus Christ, and he will still not coming, and they will get tired until the third and fourth generation, they will start giving up the idea that Jesus is coming back. And you know, I guess this is part of that fulfillment that people
and then the day we were supposed to leave, one of the lady, she met us there, and she wanted to meet us, but we couldn't really connect. And I told her we were leaving today, so she said, okay, I'll come. And she came and we sat down with Rabbi Sahib for about, I think about an hour. And she literally said, you know what, this makes sense to me. Islam makes sense to me. Christianity doesn't make sense to me anymore. I just wanted to, you know.
We have a quick question for Kamal from Ataul Hari Nasir, that did you learn anything from this trip? What did you learn?
I learned that there's not that much people that live like us there.
Right.
And they don't have that much stuff that we have here.
So we are blessed. We have so many blessings, and we need to be thankful to that, right? Look at the people who are still living without those things, right, over there. That's the biggest learning, right?
Yes.
And you went to a school also?
Yeah, we gave gifts to people, like students in the school.
And you made some friends over there?
Yeah. One was Brother Stephen, Brother Musa,
Brother Musa.
and one was
Brother Jamil.
and Brother
Jamil.
Jamil.
Right, very interesting, very interesting. MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
And so we are getting a lot of converts, and I think we
Right.
are 80 plus
Yeah,
right
80
now.
plus.
Oh,
Naveed
alhamdulillah,
Mullah
because
emailed
when I
yesterday.
left it was 76, and if they're 80 plus, that's alhamdulillah, that's extra people.
We're getting news because people like you, perhaps inspired by you, are there right now by the grace of Allah and doing their Waqf-e-Arzi, and the number has increased just as of this week.
Yes.
And
Some Khuddam
they're
visiting
also
there, right?
there are
Yes.
some Khuddam there, and they are also planning to do Muhammad, the astonishing story of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one of the universities there. In fact, I was told by Naveed Manga Sahib just today that they extended, some of the Khuddam have extended their trip so that they can do the astonishing story event there. So it's it's amazing. It's amazing that we're seeing these kind of things. And
This is great, like the youth, they are commenting. One of the youth is Sanata, proud to be an Ahmadi Muslim at Aperture Show. So they're getting the inspiration. Our youth is getting the inspiration from your experiences, from Kamal, who went over there 10 years old. And we are also thinking in our house that I need to take my son as well. This is how it triggers.
Yeah.
What is the main message by Murabbi Sahib over there? What he's looking forward to, especially from Ansar?
So from
I want to be
Khuddam and
selfish-
Ansar,
selfish
from all the Jamaat members, and particularly the Ansar, we need to have people go there. Because see, the thing is, right now in Belize, how they say the Zameen is, it's ready,
Fertile, right?
fertile. It's ready to go. And but we have at the same time we have a competition with from the Mormons and Jehovah's Witness, and those people go there for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years Waqf-e-Arzis. And I mean, I went for 10 days. Out of that, I lost 2, and it was like about 8 days totally I was there. I think we need to have people who are retired, who speak English, who can cook, and know a little bit of, not a little bit, but they know basics of Islam and Ahmadiyyat. They need to go there for
which we
3
expect that by the time they're retired, they know something, right?
By the time they're Ansar, right?
Hopefully, yes.
Otherwise, I have to be blamed.
So they should go there for 3, 6, 1 year, 6 months, whatever they
3
can,
months, 4 months,
whatever
and
they
then,
can, they should go, because this is
Boarding and lodging is not an issue over there. We have,
No,
mashallah, place and everything. So
it's just one country, and I was thinking about that we have the whole Latin America, and Latin America is next front anyways.
and Jamaica, Murabbi Sahib was just sitting.
The
Yeah,
whole
we have not
central.
introduced. We have not even asked the question. We have forgotten. Like Umair Sahib is just
Yes.
appointed. Umair Khan Sahib just appointed as Sadr and missionary in charge of Jamaica, and he's
Yes.
leaving soon.
And he was saying
Prayers
next time you
requested
should come to
for him.
Jamaica. You
Right,
was like, okay,
right.
inshallah ta'ala,
We should
we'll.
pray for him. Yes, yes.
So inshallah ta'ala.
So yes, go ahead, please. We are getting bombarded with the comments, and today we don't because there's so many guests today.
Yeah, we have so many guests, and we couldn't. And we're almost coming to the end of the show, but we have such excitement. Like Athar says that it's an amazing show, faith inspiring. Alhamdulillah, we have some Lajna are also tweeting about the show. They're appreciating it. Tausif Ahmed says truly inspirational account of visit of Belize by Akbar Bhatti Sahib and his son makes one want to go to Belize for Waqf-e-Arzi. So hopefully we can get some.
So that's the purpose basically. Only reason I'm here, and only reason I've talked to Khuddam and on the request of Sadr Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya and Sadr Sahib, all that is to inspire people, because this is what we need to do. We need to go. We have busy lives here. Everybody's running to earn money, whatever.
Go for more and more.
But if you break this cycle and then go out there, you see, how other people live. And one of the purpose for taking Kamal with me was to show him that, what kind of conditions people are living in different parts of the world. Because we're from Pakistan, we understand these things. But for these kids, it's very, very, very important to go and see.
It's both a tabligh and
Tabligh,
trip.
yes.
So Secretary Sahib Tarbiyat is also
yes, also. So I'm taking that.
Take cue from that.
Yes, of course. And I want to, one of the very dear follower of Aperture, me at Quest, Rumi 1. he said like, I'm not going to ask more questions. My first question is not going to be answered. The point is because, as I mentioned, that we have so many guests today because Majlis-e-Shura is going on of Jamaat Ahmadiyya Canada. Tomorrow is the official start of the Majlis-e-Shura.
Right.
So we want to go for more and more guests instead of going like, that's why we are not asking many questions by the followers, by the...
but we did get a few of them,
right.
One for Kamal also.
Yes, again.
Yes.
So, Alhamdulillah, and I appreciate your time today, and it was a wonderful discussion, and we hope that more people get motivated to go to Belize and, get a self-reformation.
Latin America, Central and Latin America, the whole South America, basically.
Yes, Jazakumullah, Asana Jaza, and to our viewers, stay tuned. This episode will be uploaded on YouTube just like the last one. Keep tweeting to us, keep writing to us, keep sending us emails. The email account for Tarbiyat also
at tarbiyat@ahmadiyya.ca. It's a discreet and direct feedback. Please, instead of in the social media.
Can you spell that, Tarbiyat?
Tarbiyat, Tarbiyat @ahmadiyya.ca. Okay. Because it's much more respectful that we need to give that discreet feedback if we need to be for someone personal feedback or something like that.
And
so
for any unanswered questions also.
Yes, please. Yes.
And so you can follow us, keep following us on Twitter, keep promoting our videos, and keep writing to us, and we will make announcements through Twitter.
Right. As a matter of fact, one of the our youngster, he invited his high school teacher to saw this Aperture show live today. Okay. So we can spread the message outside also. Right. Why not?
Right. Okay. Jazakallah. So do follow us, and we'll make announcements on Twitter. Jazakumullahu ahsanal jaza, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.